All right, everybody, it's Nash here, and today we're going to be talking some Texas football, specifically the Red River Shootout. OU sucks. And we're going to be talking about a little bit of Quinn Ewers. So, by the title, you've probably already seen it. Quinn Ewers is rumored to be playing in this football game, starting for the Texas Longhorns versus the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, Quinn supposedly was going to be back last week versus West Virginia, but he suffered a setback that caused him to be prolonged just another week. And it was causing him some pain, so we didn't see him. But supposedly he's coming back this week. But without further ado, let's get into the video. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about Quinn Ewers playing versus Hudson Card. I'll give you my thoughts in a minute here. Now, as we said, Pete Thamel, he's been breaking a lot of stuff when it comes to Quinn Ewers specifically. But he's been getting a lot of the stuff that he's been saying has either come true or is true. But we're expecting Quinn Ewers back this week, and let's see how it goes. Let's go into the stats deeper for both quarterbacks, Quinn Ewers and Hudson Card. And we're going to start with Hudson Card. Now, this is a pretty good comparison because the sample size is pretty close when it comes to Hudson Card versus 2021 versus 2022. And I know this is a lot of numbers, but numbers that you want to pay attention to. The completion percentage, it's up 7.8%. Then you have the yards per attempt. That's up 1.5%. That's a big one. Touchdown, interception, that's pretty much the same. That's a good one because it was good, and it's nice to see that it's staying where it was. If he hadn't thrown one interception, that's the only room for improvement that he can have. And that was that one where he threw into double coverage versus Texas Tech, if you remember that. Now, something that jumps out to me, and I'm not sure if it jumped out to you yet, but the yards per attempt on the play action from 2021 to 2022. There should be no difference in that, considering the fact that if you look at it, one, our run blocking, it hasn't gotten really better from last year. It actually got worse, surprisingly. And two, the running backs are the same. So what really changed? And off the top of my head, it's got to be something to do with the play calls and the play calling. And just, I guess, them being more effective this year. But this was something that we saw versus Alabama as well. The play action, you're going to see in a minute. Quinn Ewers, his grades on the play action. Man, now, yes, it does help when you got Bijan Robinson back there toting the ball. So teams got to focus on that when you're doing a play action pass. But still, teams, they had to focus on Bijan Robinson last year. So that is something that at this moment I really don't have a definitive answer for. But it's very curious, and I'm not concerned, but I'm intrigued by it because you see something kind of very similar here when you're talking about Quinn Ewers and Hudson Card, comparing them 2022 in a minute. But let's look at the deep passes from 2021 to 2022 for Hudson Card. There is improvement that you wanted to see. And a big gripe that some of us have had is that, and I'll be honest, I haven't had as much of a gripe as this as some others, but Xavier Worthy, he could be doing so much better if he used his hands a little bit more, fought back to the ball a little bit more. It feels like he does. It almost felt like he wasn't trying as much with Hudson versus Quinn. And that's another positive that you're going to see is you got Jatavian Sanders, who I think is Quinn's roommate and best friend, and then Xavier Worthy. Those two dudes are going to see bumps up in this Red River game simply from Quinn just playing. but the accuracy on the deeper passes has undoubtedly improved for Hudson Card. I mean, he's had pretty much the same amount of attempts. He's had 34 attempts in 2021 on passes 10 yards and further, and he's had 37 attempts on passes 10 yards and further. In 2022, so far, he's hit 18 of those passes. He only had 12 of those passes to his name in 2021. So we're seeing a more accurate Hudson Card when you're talking about getting the ball down the field past the first down marker. Now, how does he compare to Hudson Card to Quinn Ewers in 2022? Well, it is a smaller sample size, but Quinn Ewers gets the edge. He's got the edge in yards per attempt. He's got the slight edge in the completion percentage. I mean, his play action is almost nearly perfect. You don't see the grade here. You'll see the grade in a second. Not for the entire year, but for the Alabama game. But his grades on the play action and the deep ball are pretty nice. Pretty good grades. And that's something that you see with Quinn Ewers is the deep ball. And then also these anticipation throws, which I'm not 100% sure about this, if this is just me saying, nonsense, but it feels like you do see more anticipatory throws on plays off of a play action pass. And not trickery per se, but there's more going on the route and then the play in general. And really deep down, if you were to pause the screen and just look at every number, I mean, they're honestly pretty similar. Quinn is a slight improvement to Hudson Card, and I think that's pretty indicative of almost what it is in real life. Hudson Card is going to be a very high quality backup that most teams aren't going to have in the terms of the drop off from your number one to your number two isn't going to be as steep. We've seen Hudson improving. And I think that improvement's been necessary and needed, because if we need to call Hudson's number later on in the season, we want to see that Hudson, not the Hudson that we saw when we first had to put him in versus Alabama. Though I do expect these numbers to slightly start to differentiate a little bit more as Quinn Ewers is going to get more run. Now, the play action is likely going to go down. He's likely not going to have almost 90% on his completion percentage from attempts on a play-action pass. If he does, I'll take it, because that means, one, the run game's doing well, and two, we're passing off of the run game very well. Now, how did Quinn Ewers do versus Alabama, specifically? And he did pretty good. I mean, you look at this. When he was kept clean, obviously you're going to do good when you're kept clean, and obviously you're going to do much better when you're not blitzed. But what's interesting is he didn't have a single drop back being blitzed PFF versus Alabama. So that is something that's interesting. But 7 of his completions, 8 attempts off of the play action pass. I mean, his grades, the deep ball as well. You saw that. His only miss on the deep ball was a ball where Worthy laid out, and I maintain it's not a drop because he did not drop the ball. He bobbled it. But getting back on track, what are my thoughts on Quinn Ewers' plan? Honestly, at first, I didn't like it. At first, I wanted Hudson Card back in because Hudson Card was not only getting better each week, but this was the biggest reason for me. Is if you put Hudson Card out there and he does great versus Oklahoma and we win the game, great, awesome, cool. Put Quinn in next week. We understand that's the future, right? But if Hudson Card were to struggle in the game, putting Quinn Ewers in is going to provide a spark. And that spark is going to be much greater than the other side of the coin, where if you were to have Quinn Ewers start, what if Quinn Ewers, let's just play hypothetical, what if Quinn Ewers goes out there and just struggles and looks bad? Right? Like pullable bad. Or his shoulder just isn't going bad. Right? Well, then when you're putting in Hudson Card, that spark it's not going to be the same spark that you would get if you were putting in a Quinn Ewers. And that's my biggest issue with it. Or that was my biggest issue with it. But I agree with Sark. You put your best 11 on the field. If Quinn Ewers is your best 11 and he's healthy, you put him on the field. It's just, that's the end of the story. You don't go any further than that. It doesn't get any deeper. There's no explanation needed. Other than, this guy is better, and this isn't about feelings. We're not handing out participation trophies here at the end of the year. We're trying to get to the Big 12 championship, and we're putting in the quarterback that gives us the best chance to do that. And while the stats show and say that he's not that much better than Hudson Card, that doesn't mean Hudson Card isn't good, and that doesn't mean Quinn Ewers isn't good. I think it's a good thing that we can take away. All right, everybody. Hope you all have a great week. Let's go get a win versus OU. OU sucks, and hook 'em.